My name is Oscar Sandoval. Today's class is going to be over student assessments. Kicking right off into it, we're going to cover in the overview the purpose, assessments defined, the types of groups of assessments, some examples of them, the pros and cons list, my personal thoughts in regards to what I've learned throughout this assignment, and my reference page. The purpose. Within the two general ways of thinking and assessing, there are a number of different purposes that everything is used for. For each purpose, the design of the assessment is different, but must have an acceptable level of quality given understanding of how the results will be used. So to me, this says that when a student is provided some type of material in a learning environment, they need to have a good understanding of how he or she will be evaluated and or assessed for progression and evaluation. Assessments defined. For this, we will turn our attention to our book, Introduction to Teaching, in specific to page 386. The types of assessments, there's two. The first one being the summative assessment. It's basically utilizing the test results in regards to whether or not the student will be allowed to progress in grades, or in grade level, excuse me. The second is the formative assessment. It's basically when the purpose is purely to provide feedback to any student in regards to their progress and to guide them for preparation in regards to tomorrow's lesson. Little key thing that I got from the reading in regards here is the way that the book puts it is testing of learning and testing for learning. In regards to testing of learning is determined how much has been learned in order to draw a conclusion, or conclusion to summarize. That kind of put summarize and summative assessment together. It just clicks in my head. And in regards to formative assessment, for that it's for learning, so formative assessment. Just a quick little reference for me. That's how it helps me to remember what type of assessment I'm dealing with. Examples of formative and summative assessments. My personal, I want to say my personal favorites, but the ones that stand out to me and work for me in regards to the formative is in-class discussions. I love to discuss, love to debate, see and understand different people's different point of views in regards to any type of topic. So I'm always up for a debate. Another one is surveys, homework assignments. A lot of people look down upon homework assignments, but I like to challenge myself in regards to, okay, now I have to try to figure this out in regards to whatever it is that I learned today, right? For the summative assessment example, final grades, report cards, we're all used to this in regards to some type of final paper or final report to establish whether or not we're ready to advance to that next level. The pros and cons. For this one, turn your attention to page 387, again still in our book, Introduction to Teaching. A pro, assessing gains in student learning. That is a formative example. For that, say a teacher makes up, or not really makes up, but has some type of test that he or she developed in regards to testing whatever they learned, say basic math skills or the whatever it was that they covered in the lesson that day. The teacher will have some type of exam, students take it, and right there and then the students and the teacher get results of, what it is that they learned. Checking for understanding within lessons, spot checking. As a teacher is giving the lecture or group discussions, various questions are asked throughout the lesson, and to see of whether or not the students, where they're at mentally, and to see if they're in the ball game of understanding what they're supposed to be learning. Both of those are examples of formative assessing. Reporting progress is presented in letter format for quick ease. Summative assessment. This is when, say, you got homework and then the teacher grades it right there and then. the student will be able to see is like, oh, I got a B, I got a B plus, or I got an A, whatever have you. It's a quick reference in regards to where they're at for the progress that they did. Gatekeeping, going into the final grade, the final exam, whether or not that student is ready to move on to the next grade. It's the end all be all, if you will. The cons, through their assessment, the students can respond negatively. This one will go in regards to assessing gains in student learning. Maybe the student wasn't ready to be called upon, and he's like, okay, I have this test in front of me, and now I don't know what to do. And boom, the teacher asks him. It's like, oh no, he might shut down, or he or she might shut down, and it'll just be a bad day. See how the teacher responds to that. Let's see, can encounter students with language barriers and students that go through the motions. For this one, it's like, say if the teacher's asking questions, it's like, okay, hey, Oscar, do you know the answer to X question or whatever? And then sometimes the students will freeze, or like I said, maybe they don't know English, maybe they're foreign, maybe they can't speak, or like myself, I have issues speaking in public. By the time that the letter grade gets or is received, the test is in the test or quiz, the student could be already lost in the sauce, is how I like to refer to it, or as one of my instructors used to refer to, when a student isn't understanding or just isn't caught up to the rest of the class. Let's see. So reading throughout this entire book in itself, it's got me to think a lot. Understanding that there's different ways to go about evaluating a student's learning curve, or just learning ways in general. You have to really understand and know when it is you have to use what method to check for understanding. Let's see. Checking for understanding of the material being presented is vital at certain times throughout your lesson, and it's crucial to know when you need to check. So like if you're in the lecture, if you're giving a lecture, and you see that a lot of people are paying attention or following along in the book, and then out of nowhere in the far right corner you see a student just either falling asleep or being disruptive or whatever have you. There's a reason why this is happening. There's a reason why he or she isn't engaged in learning. Lastly, a very important consideration is taking into account the characteristics of the student being assessed. Maybe that student is part of ESL or an ELL, or he or she is a STEM student. How the book refers to exceptional students or at-risk students, or whatever have you. It's just, you have to take everything into consideration. There's my reference page. With that, this ends my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You have a good evening.